Okay, here we go with the interview. Pay close attention to the facial
Mrs.
expression.
McAfee, we would like to ask you a few questions, if that's okay.
I prefer to use my maiden name, June Ballard. You might be familiar with some of my work.
Can you tell us what happened here?
You're kind of cute for a cop. Maybe a bit on the serious side.
What about me, June? I'm a big fan of Beast of...
I don't like. Keep out of this.
As you can see there, the facial expressions of characters are extremely detailed. You have to pay close attention to their facial expressions when you're interviewing them. All right, we're going to go with the doping allegation for our first question here.
We understand that you're still suffering from the effects of the accident, Mrs. McAfee. The officer says that you claimed that you were drugged. Who did this to you?
That rat slipped us a Mickey Finn. It's no wonder I feel so dopey. I can't remember.
Now, keeping in mind that she's an actress and might be pretty darn good at lying, I'm going to go with the smug look on her face as an indication that she's not telling me everything. I'm going to go
It's a
with
serious
doubt.
offense to withhold information from the police during a criminal investigation, madam.
I told you to call me June. You're making me feel like an old lady. And don't bother your handsome head about this. My husband will settle the score with Mark Bishop.
All right, you might have heard that cue at the end of the first question, which let me know that I got it right. On to the
What can you tell us about
now.
the passenger in your car?
Jessica Hamilton. Poor Jessica. It's been a rough day for her. She's desperate to break into movies. What more can I say?
Again, she's got that little smug look on her face. So this time I'm going to call her out on a lie. As you can see, you can flip into your notebook and check all the evidence you've recovered. And I think the underwear kind of points to something being hidden here.
I think you're lying, Mrs. McAfee. I think something happened to Jessica yesterday before the crash.
I'm offended, Sunshine. Do you have any proof?
You can always look up at any time to sort of observe your suspect.
Miss Hamilton's underwear were physically torn from her body.
She wanted to go to a casting. I took her to a casting. Whatever happened after that is between her and Mark Bishop.
We found a shrunken head. It was used to tamper with your car.
You see, I normally don't drive off cliffs. The last thing I remember is getting behind the wheel.
Pay attention to how she's looking away, not looking at me. It's pretty obvious she's trying to hide something here, so I'm going to go with doubt.
It's obviously some kind of movie prop. You must know where it came from.
In case you hadn't noticed, I am the talent. And the talent doesn't deal with props or sets or any of that kind of stuff. Why don't you ask Mark Bishop which prop house he uses?
And finally, we get to this whole Mark
You
Bishop
mentioned a Mark
person
Bishop.
talking about.
You think he might have had something to do with this?
He is a movie producer. As for his involvement, you just leave it to me and my husband to worry about.
All right, let's say for some reason, even though she's looking dead at me, I think she's lying. You know, I go into my evidence and I say, the prop shrunken head tells a different story. So I call her on a lie.
That's a lie and you know it. This goes deeper than that.
I'm sorry. Maybe you'd like to go ahead and prove that, honey.
So I incorrectly use the shrunken head as evidence.
I'm in pain here, Detective. I nearly died. Now you're throwing these stories around here like they're facts?
As you can see, there's a
Mrs.
different
McAfee,
cue there.
I think it would be in
To
everyone's
indicate that I
best
got the
interest
answer
if you
wrong.
accompanied Patrolman Gonzalez back to the receiving hospital.
I'm going to be okay. These guys can take me home after. My lawyer and I have talked to the news hounds.
Mrs. McAfee, you are still under the influence of narcotics, and you're likely to go into shock once the drugs wear off.
And I thought you were a heel. It's nice of you to be concerned.
I think we're good here. Let's go see what we can shake out of the kid.
The interviews in LA Noire are really the most interesting part of the game to me. You really have to keep everything in perspective while you're interviewing someone. You have to consider what the scenario is, who they might be trying to cover up for, what their motives might be, things like that. It's really a sort of intellectual challenge that you don't find in many other games. We're going to drive on over to the hospital now.
KGPL to car 11K, 11 King. The car crash victim has regained consciousness at Central Receiving Hospital.
11K
Driving
Roger,
around,
en route.
you have to be a little careful not to actually, run into other cars. If you do, you get points off the end of your case. So, again, this isn't going to be like Grand Theft Auto, where you're driving around smashing into everyone. You need to be a little more careful about what you're doing. If you do happen to get tired of waiting, you can turn on the siren there, and then you can drive a little more recklessly. You still gotta be careful. Okay, that's it for part 2. We're gonna pick up here next time with the next interview of Jessica Hamilton.
Hello, Detective Phelps, here to interview a Jessica Hamilton.
Jessica Hamilton. Oh, yes. She's in the room right behind you, Detective.